We're here eagerly awaiting for Ilhan Omar to speak. Ilhan Omar is famous for many, many things. And I want to speak very softly and respectfully here. Ilhan Omar, did you consummate the marriage to your brother? Which is worse, immigration fraud or brother f***ing? Are there any other relatives you fancy, Ilhan? How did your brother propose to you?
President Donald Trump says he is taking action to end legal immigration status for some Somalis in Minnesota. In a social media post tonight, the president says he is ending temporary protected status effective immediately. The post on Truth Social says Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity and billions of dollars are missing. Temporary protected status is granted to foreign countries who meet requirements for things like ongoing wars and natural disasters that prevent citizens from returning home safely. The current protected status for the country of Somalia extends through March of next year. As of March of this year, 705 Somali nationals were covered by TPS in the entire country, according to U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services data. A 2023 fact sheet from the Immigrant Law Center said about 430 Somalis in Minnesota fall under that protection. The Council on American Islamic Relations says this change will cause some families to be separated in some cases.
There are families who are currently having their children grow up in the United States as full citizens, as born in the United States, but their parents may be holding a TPS status. That means that we'll be breaking families who have been here legally.
Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, the first Somali American member of Congress, said tonight, "I am a citizen and so are a majority of Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis you love to hate. We are here to stay." We'll keep following this.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, back in Tennessee. Hey, I've been reading a lot and watching the news on these Somalis in Minnesota and around the area that are ripping the system off, faking autism. You know, I've got one of my dearest friends has autism, and he just gets it every day, doesn't get any help, goes to school, does his thing, has a job, takes care of his nana, and he's just a wonderful human being. To think that somebody is using that situation to rip off the system, to me, is unbelievable. We need to get a hold of these people that are doing this. We need to, within the law, of course, but we need to seize their assets. We need to mark them, know, not physically mark them, but know who they are so that they will never, ever be able to get back in our country again and deport their ass as fast as possible. Then we've got to, oddly enough, my buddy's texting me right now, my buddy with autism. And then what we need to do then is to root out who in our government allowed this to happen. That's the problem we have with the conservative movement. We get a hold of the person at the tip of the spear, and then we don't go down to the base. And that's where the problem is, the real problem, because they've allowed this to happen. They've been paid off, or they're so deep in whatever department it is that they are, there's some gunfire, that they are able to just move around to another area, and that needs to stop. Needs to stop. We need to stop it now. That's why a lot of people didn't like Elon Musk. He rooted this stuff out and pointed it out to us, and I'm afraid you're going to find out, you dig deep enough in some of these scams, that folks from both parties are getting fat off of it. And dadgummit, it needs to stop. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. When you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Oh, hell, this that brother-loving heifer once again. This the one that said we must fear the white people in the country. This the foreign agent. This the one that they down there in Minnesota. Then they just ran a whole money laundering. You know that she showed up at the restaurant. Come to find out, they would say they were feeding kids. Not one kid got fed. Unbelievable. And yeah, man, I tell you, what a disgrace. But she's making the headlines again. We got some breaking news and a big announcement from President Trump on Ilhan Omar. Yeah, buddy, I tell you, unbelievable. You go through the internet, you look up this lady's name, and this is all you see. I mean, her and, look at this. Married her full-blooded brother to skirt immigration laws and get him into the country. Oh, hell. Why haven't they walked this heifer out and deported this heifer? Yeah, I'm just saying. Why ain't they walked this heifer out and deported, revoked this heifer's citizenship and deport this heifer? It's confirmed. Ilhan Omar married her brother. This is immigration fraud. Oh, hell. And this is on record, y'all. They say this is on record. They confirmed it to be on record now. But that's when you look her name up, that's what comes up. That's pretty sad, man. And other things come up as well. But that's pretty sad, man. But let's get into the breaking news. I hope everybody that's tuned in right now that you are having a great weekend. What's going on, family? Y'all getting ready for Thanksgiving? It smell good in that house? It smell good. It smell good in that household. I know them Patriots be cooking, boy. Some of y'all put too much season. Some of y'all don't put enough season. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, make Rick a play. Yeah, make Rick a play. Make Rick a play. Y'all make him a play. You know what I'm saying? If you came over here, I'll make you a plate. We cook for everybody, man. Everybody's welcome. Then come on in, get you a plate, man. That's how we was raised, man. Good times, man. The good times that came and gone, man. I miss those days with my father, man. Family. Ever since my father passed, man, things been different. Like the last 3 years, it just went downhill. But we still fighting every single day, man. Y'all don't take this time for granted. Spend time with your loved ones. Be there. Be involved. It's the little things that we take for granted, man. I tell y'all this every single time I get a chance to. It's the little things we take for granted, man. And it don't take much to be a great human being. Y'all continue to be amazing fathers, mothers out there, parents, leaders, mentors, right from wrong, common sense. Because the times we are living in, it's just downhill, man. Downhill. And especially with the social media, this AI stuff, it's getting worse, man. I ain't lying to you. These next 5-10 years are going to be really, really interesting. Watch what I tell you. But they say we living in the end times. They say, come on now, Jesus, come on back now. Come on back. Come on back. Because we living in some corrupt, doom, scam times. I tell you, everybody got to get tax out their shoes. Unbelievable. Barely can hang on and survive. We all trying to survive, man. But anyways, man, let's get into this. Breaking. President Trump announced he is terminating temporary protect status for all Somalis in Minnesota. Ilhan Omar is going to lose her over this one. Send them all back now. Oh boy. Hundreds of thousands of them have taken over Minnesota and have stolen hundreds of millions in tax dollars. I tell y'all, man. And we've been covering this for quite a while. Funneling money to terrorist groups back in Somalia. I mean, man. But Trump says Minnesota under Governor Tim Walz is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am as president of the United States hereby terminating effective immediately the temporary protected status, the TPS program for Somalians in Minnesota. Somalian gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. President Donald J. Trump. Woo! Put some respect on it. Y'all know Trump gonna come out every single day and he's gonna make an announcement. And all I can tell you, I hope you are ready. It might be at 11 o'clock at night. It might be in the morning. It might be in the afternoon. It might be when you just got off work. It might be when you just never know. But be ready. Trump is your president. Oh boy. And it is going down, man. Ilhan Omar. Just can't make this up.
Suggested that maybe at the group, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back. He said, I don't want her. Okay, what else?
Trump always making everybody laugh. But he said the president of Somalia said, will you want to take Ilhan Omar back? And he said, I don't want her. What is this? Ilhan Omar is not representing America's interests in Congress. Yeah. Oh boy. You just can't make this up. But as you scroll through the internet and look up what comes up with this lady's name, it's honestly a disgrace.
O Congress idinku jinsi ah, gabar idinku af ah, gabar idinku diin ah, o ahade qof iyadoo da'yar wadankeedii laga kaxeeyay wili xiise u qabto.
Yeah. Says, I'm a Somalian girl taken from my country. I miss my country, and I'm dreaming of living in Somalia again. Well, why do we allow this anti-American witch to be a sitting member of Congress? Send her back. She got here by committing immigration fraud anyway. Y'all know Ilhan Omar has broke the internet recently, backing President Trump, that was exposed by another member of Congress, and it honestly surprised a lot of people. But then a lot of people was like, we don't care, we still don't want anything to do with Miss Ilhan Omar. Especially, that's, a lot of conservatives, a lot of even non-conservatives, MAGA and non-MAGA, a lot of people oppose this lady.
But you say there's no debate about whether Trump's a racist, and a lot of people would agree with you on that. And in fact, there's been an explosion in the number of anti-Muslim, far-right, white nationalist groups in the US over the past couple of years. Your own state of Minnesota experienced a record number of anti-Muslim incidents in 2016. You yourself, I believe, just a few weeks after your election victory, I think you had a cab driver call you filthy and ISIS and threaten to remove your hijab. How much do you hold Trump and the rise of Trump responsible for this explosion of US Islamophobia?
Oh, I would actually come very short of holding them exclusively responsible for the rise. I think when you demonize,
it is that one she said. This that interview that went viral. Y'all remember when she said we must fear the white man in this country, the white people in this country. I think that's like the only thing everybody took from that, and they was like, okay, yeah, the hell with this heifer.
And dehumanize, it is easy for people to commit acts of violence against those individuals because they no longer see them as a person, as someone who has feelings, who's worthy of respect. And I think that is where we are moving away from the idea that we are supposed to be a welcoming nation.
A welcoming nation, y'all. And she also took a lot of backlash recently with her comments on the death of Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace to Charlie, man.
Conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was
y'all know when she said that broke the internet, that pissed a lot of people off, and didn't play out in her favor.
The driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
But white men.
Most of the funding and attention, even under Obama, obviously went towards Muslim communities. One of those communities is in Minnesota, your state, the Somali American community in Minnesota, where I think over the past few years, more than 20 young Somali Americans have left to go and fight for ISIL or Al-Shabaab or one of these quote-unquote jihadist groups abroad. That's a real threat, obviously. No one's pretending it's not a threat. So what do you do about it?
But I mean, I think, like I said, the focus of our policies should be about keeping Americans safe, keeping us domestically safe, and where we actually find a solution is looking at our foreign policy, looking at how we are engaging with the members of these communities, and the kind of rhetoric, right, like that is being spewed out of leaders within our city halls, within our state capitals, and within our nation's capital.
Some would say that's true. There's some really bad rhetoric coming from politicians, security leaders, etc. But also a lot of bad rhetoric coming from Muslim community leaders, imams, etc. Right. Is that fair?
I think both of those statements could be true, and I think it just goes to show what happens when you have segments within communities that are using fear and hate to mobilize their base, and it is important for us to actually have a conversation about what kind of communities we are trying to build and what this nation actually stands for.
Yeah, so you hear and see that. You just can't make this up. You just can't.
Our concern with Islamic elected officials is whether or not their loyalty is to the United States of America or to a foreign government or an entity. If you look at the track record of those who we already have in Congress, Ilhan Omar, for example, with a Somali flag in Congress. Now, is her loyalty to the United States or to Somalia? When you have Rashida Tlaib with a Palestinian flag in her office, is her loyalty to the American people or to the Palestinian people? Last time I checked, it was Americans who elected her to serve America's interest, American communities, not Palestinians living in Gaza. When you look at the guy who ran for mayor in Minnesota, when you look at the track record of the Muslims who are elected to office in the United States, we are seeing very clearly the loyalty leaning more towards another government and another entity. When you look at the students marching and demonstrating in the United States, including Mamdani, by the way, in demonstrations after October 7th, where they were burning the American flag and waving the flags of different countries, Arabic countries in the Middle East, different terrorist organizations, you start to think to yourself, where is their loyalty? Are they loyal to us or to somewhere else? So when I see that 76 Muslims ran for office, backed and funded by CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, who's an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism financing trial in America's history, and 42 of them make it to office, I question their loyalty, and I question the decisions that they're going to be making regarding America, their cities, and its interests.
Oh boy, But Dr. Steve says you won't believe what Trump just did to Ilhan Omar just an hour ago. Let's check this out.
Dr. Steve, coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. My son and I are here for the F1 race. We've never done this before. It's so incredibly cool. They do it at night, and so the whole city is lit up as these absolutely astonishing cars.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to go to one, always. Hopefully in the future, man. We love that new F1 movie. It was amazing. Let me know if y'all, if y'all like that stuff too. Let me know if you've seen the new F1 movie. It was phenomenal. I really wish I would have got to watch it in 40X. Where the seats and stuff move. Because lately we've been checking out those new movies in that 40X, and the 40X experience is honestly phenomenal. Over here, the theaters over here in Texas. We have I think 3 or 5, 6 theaters in Houston in Texas that do it. Well, I think it's 8. There's like some in Houston, then outside of Houston, there's many places that have these theaters, the Regals, you know. And if you haven't watched a movie in 40X, I would tell y'all to go to get that experience. You know? But I really wanted to watch that new F1 movie in 40X, and we didn't get a chance to. Because I think when the movie first comes out, it's only like a 1 week to 2 week or 2 week time span. They'll play it in those top theaters, and then after like the third or fourth week, they'll just play it in the regular movie times, regular theaters, Okay. But anyways, let's continue.
McLarens, Ferraris, Mercedes, Red Bull, they're all racing on the streets. And when they zip by, we saw the qualifiers last night, you feel it's like rockets. I mean, you can feel the torque in your body. It's amazing. But alas,
y'all know I'm a car guy, so I love cars, build cars. I've done the street racing stuff and the motorcycles and the sport bikes and all that stuff. Y'all know who I am. So I would love to go to an F1 event one day. That'd be pretty amazing.
We've got a major scandal breaking out in Minneapolis in the backyard of Ilhan Omar. This is absolutely insane. What if your hard-earned tax dollars weren't just wasted, but actually sent overseas to fund terrorist groups? And what if this happened under the watch of state leaders who refused to act? And it took a bold move by Trump to finally stop it. Well, that is exactly what is happening. So last night, Friday night, President Trump made an announcement that stunned Minnesota. He is immediately ending all TPS, temporary protected status, for Somalis living in the state, citing as this justification the uncovering of massive welfare fraud and terrorism links. So if you don't know what's going on here, Minnesota is home to the nation's largest Somali population. Nearly 80,000 Somalis live there. That's where Ilhan Omar is from. Omar Fateh, the Somalian socialist, right, who almost beat Democrat incumbent Jacob Fry in the Minneapolis mayoral race a couple of weeks back. All that. All right. We are now learning, according to federal investigations, that hundreds of millions of dollars intended for social programs have been looted through fraud and sent in part to fund Al-Shabaab, which, I kid you not, is an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group back in Somalia. So the fraud centered on programs like Feeding Our Future. We did a few videos on this scandal some weeks back. And little did we know we were just scratching the surface of the corruption. It was a $250 million scam.
I think we've done, 10, 15 videos on the show of covering that. And like we said, we're just scratching the surface. He's right. We said the exact same thing, man.
Where operators faked meal counts for children and pocketed taxpayer money. So we're talking lavish cars, real estate overseas, luxury brands, and yes, remittances back to Somalia, where large terrorist-controlled areas claimed a tax on financial transfers from abroad. As many as 77 people have already been charged in Minnesota's largest ever fraud scheme, and at least 56 have already pled guilty, many with Somali background. Now, another welfare program called Housing Stabilization Services ballooned from a budget of $2.6 million to over $100 million in just 2 years, most of it believed to be fraudulent. So like we saw with USAID, all of these nonprofit welfare programs are nothing more than slush funds for the people who run them. But here is what should concern all of us, every single American taxpayer. Somalia's economy relies heavily on remittances, much of it coming from the United States. Federal investigators and counterterrorist experts confirm Minnesota taxpayer dollars funneled through community remittance networks eventually enriched Al-Shabaab, this Al-Qaeda spinoff, via the money they forcibly take from all financial activity in their territory. One commentator put it this way: the single largest funder of Al-Shabaab in the world is the Minnesota taxpayer. Now, of course, all eyes are on two politicians in particular. The feckless Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and the utterly repulsive Somali-born Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. So Happy Hands Waltz is being faulted for failing to confront or prevent this fraud, even though he knew about it. He ignored repeated warnings since 2020 about scams in childcare, housing, disability programs in the state. Republican Representative Tom Emmer, he's from Minnesota as well, and the entire GOP House delegation are calling for a federal investigation on the inaction and proper handling of fraud by Waltz and his entire administration. And then back in 2021, Ilhan Omar actually recorded a publicity video for a restaurant that was at the center of this fraud, Safari Restaurant. This Minneapolis restaurant basically became a front for this money laundering operation. And Ilhan Omar is featured in a video at the restaurant, like, distributing meals to children alike, which is exactly what was behind this entire fraud. Now, she's claimed no involvement in the scandal whatsoever, but we now know that her campaign received $5,400 from two individuals who were later implicated in fraud investigation. And it gets worse, because Omar was actually the sponsor of the Meals Act in 2020, which expanded federal food aid during the pandemic. And this is precisely the very legislation that created the opportunities that fraudsters exploited to steal hundreds of millions of dollars from taxpayers, much of which got sent back to Somalia and ended up in the coffers of a spinoff of freaking Al-Qaeda. Anyway, President Trump isn't waiting for Congress to act. He has officially revoked the TPS status for nearly 1,000 Somalis, and they're being sent back ASAP. And that termination of Somali TPS drew a line in the sand. Fraudsters and those who support terror must be prosecuted, and if they're not citizens, deported immediately. But more than that, Ilhan Omar's constituents basically got caught stealing from the United States, from you, the taxpayer, to then funnel money back to Somalia. Now, I would argue that this really is part of a larger trend among the cultural Marxist left known as Post-Americanism. And the key to Post-Americanism is that the political left today isn't so much about steering our nation towards progressive policies. They're actually more about looting and pillaging our nation for third world gain. So this is why the Democrats are more infatuated with illegal aliens than they are with American citizens. They see our nation and its laws and its systems as inherently racist and unjust. And we came to power by plundering indigenous populations. And now justice demands that those very populations and all third world peoples get to plunder us. And that's exactly what the Somali scam in Minneapolis was doing with your federal tax dollars. And the beauty is President Trump is saying bluntly, no more. Post-Americanism stops now. Again, the key here is that the political battle isn't so much left and right anymore, conservative versus liberal, Democrat versus Republican. It's really ultimately about American versus post-American. This is about those who love our nation versus those who hate it. It's about those who want to protect our citizens versus those who want to protect non-citizens and illegal migrants. It's about those who cherish our laws and institutions and those who want to destroy them and tear them down and plunder and loot them. It's about those who love versus those who hate, bottom line. That's what the culture wars are ultimately about. Minnesota just got caught, and President Trump is dropping the hammer big time. So what do you guys think?
All right, man. What do y'all think of Ilhan Omar down there in Minnesota? I think they ought to walk Tim Walz and a lot of people out, man. A lot of people ought to be investigated, walked out in handcuffs with their hands behind their back. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it, man. I got to keep saying it, family. I'm sorry. It's a disgrace, man.
Tonight, President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he will terminate the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. In his post, he says the reason is, quote, Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as the President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status, TPS program, for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over, President DJT, end quote. Now, we have reached out to Governor Tim Walz for a comment, but have not heard back tonight. Somalia's protective status currently runs through March 2026. Now, tonight, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar responding to Trump's post on Twitter, saying, "I am a citizen and so are majority of Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis you love to hate. We are here to stay." Also breaking tonight, U.S. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she will be resigning from Congress. The Georgia representative says she will step down from her seat in the House in January. It comes after a very public fallout with President Trump. Greene posted a lengthy statement and video on social media explaining her decision to resign. A special election will have to be held to find her replacement.